Hello, my little Pookie and little babies. Today I'm going to show you how to make a split dye shrug. This is kind of a continuation, a to be continued if you will, of last week's video where I made her sisters a matching granny square bonnet and some matching granny square gloves. So go check that out as well. Let's just get right into the crochet tutorial because there's just like a lot of ground that we need to cover. So let's hop right in. So for this pattern, I'm going to use a 5mm crochet hook and a 3.5mm crochet hook for all the trim. I have this beautiful pink yarn, this beautiful red yarn, and those are the colors that we're going to use today. Hopefully I have enough. It's all size 4 worsted weight acrylic yarn, so nothing super fancy here. I'm going to start with the head hole. I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain as many chains as I need, so that way it fits around my head. If you think I'm gonna give you the exact number of chains, you're so wrong. Like, we are girl mathing our way through this shrug. Let's do 2 more chains and 1 for good luck. Yeah, I'm not like stretching this out around my head. I just really want it to just comfortably be able to wrap around my head. That's good. Now we have to turn this into a circle, so I'm gonna make sure that this is not twisted and run my finger down the entire chain. Stick my hook in our very first chain and slip stitch and chain 3. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. Okay, so once we've created the circle for our head hole, it's time to just like visualize where some things are going to go. So I'm going to break out 6 stitch markers. We also have to take into consideration like where our seam is going to go as well. We don't want the start of our new row to be where I'm marking out our shoulder area, and we don't want the start of our new row to be right in the center of the piece where we're going to be doing our color switches. So I like to fold my piece in half, count 6 stitches forward from the fold, put my stitch marker, and then count 12 stitches to the back and then put another stitch marker, so that way in between each stitch marker is counting out 12 stitches, and that'll be our shoulder area. If my words aren't making sense, hopefully my visual is making more sense. And then I'll do the exact same thing on the other side. And then I just like to like open up my piece, making sure that everything looks even, basically as even as possible. Now I'm gonna find the center between the 2 pink stitch markers, and I'm gonna find the center between the blue stitch marker and the orange stitch marker. I mean, as long as everything looks good, it doesn't really matter if you're like 1 or 2 or 3 stitches off. Like, you're gonna be fine, everything's gonna be fine. And then I'm gonna mark where I'm going to switch colors with the white stitch markers. And then after we've kind of, figured all this stuff out, it should be smooth sailing ahead. I'm going to start double crocheting. The shoulder stitch markers don't really matter right now. We're not going to do anything with them. We're just going to kind of move them up the piece until we really need them. They were really just here to just mark out where our color change stitch markers are going to go. So I'm going to keep double crocheting just like so until I reach my white stitch marker where we're going to change colors, and I'll be right back. So I'm 1 stitch away from the white stitch marker, and that's where you're going to want to start your color change. Yarn over, put your hook through the stitch, yarn over, pull through. Right, so now we have 3 loops of yarn on our hook, just like how we would do a regular double crochet. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 2 loops of yarn on our hook. Now we're going to grab the red. Make sure the red has like a nice tail on it. You could even do a slip knot to join. We're going to just lay this red yarn on top of our hook, and we're going to kind of hold the tail so she stays in place, and then we're going to pull the red yarn through both of our loops, just like so. I like to tighten up the pink yarn a little bit, tighten up the red yarn. I'm going to use the red yarn and do a double crochet. Put the stitch marker back in and just tighten everything up. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people now will just take their pink yarn and trail it. I'm not going to do that because I only have so much red yarn and I don't want to waste it. So if you don't want to spend a whole bunch of time weaving in your ends, and just like trail the yarn along with you, then I'm going to keep on crocheting with my red yarn until I hit my other white stitch marker and I have to switch back to pink. Now I am back. I'm going to switch colors again to my pink yarn. doing the double crochet just like normal. Yarn over, pull through 2, and then instead of finishing the stitch, now I'm going to take my pink yarn and I'm going to leave a long tail and finish the stitch with my pink yarn. Now I'm just going to tighten everything up, just going to double crochet like normal. And yeah, now I'm going to keep crocheting till the end of my row, and then I'll show you how to end the row and start another row, and I'll be right back. So we're back to that chain 3. I'm going to put my hook in that 3rd chain, just like right at the top, and I'm going to do a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to turn my work like so. Now, when we start crocheting again, this immediate stitch right next to the chain 3, that is our slip stitch. We don't want to crochet into that. We want to crochet the 2nd stitch over, is what it looks like. Right? Because if we also crochet into that 1st immediate slip stitch, we're going to start expanding the piece and adding stitches, and we don't want that. Also, at this point in time, please try on the piece and make sure all of the colors are landing where they're supposed to. So at the end of the 1st row, it should look something like this. In the 2nd row, I'm not going to focus on changing colors. We should have that down at this point, but I am going to focus on teaching you how to do the shoulder increases. I'm going to keep double crocheting until I reach my 1st shoulder stitch marker. So let's take out the stitch marker. We're going to do this for all the shoulder increases, for all the shoulder stitch markers. Double crochet. Chain 1. I like to immediately put my stitch marker in that chain 1 or I will forget. Stitch marker in the chain 1 and double crochet again in the same stitch. So all in the same stitch is a double crochet, chain 1, stitch marker in the chain 1, and a double crochet in the same stitch. Then we're going to double crochet all the way to the next stitch marker, and we're going to do the same exact thing. I've come across my next shoulder stitch marker, double crochet, chain 1, so make sure to put the stitch marker right there, and double crochet in the same stitch. So now I'm going to keep double crocheting, change my color, and I'm going to keep double crocheting till the other shoulder increases and do that same shoulder increases just at these stitch markers, and then finish the row and start my 3rd row. And we're going to do all of that over again until we like the length of our piece. So here's what I have so far. I think it's looking really, really good. I have 9 rows in total. So we did our 1st row, just regular double crochet, and then I did 8 increase rows. I knew to stop crocheting when this corner of the piece hit my little armpit crevice. That's when you know to stop crocheting. So now for row 10, we're gonna set up the sleeves. So much fun. So for row 10, I'm gonna crochet just like normal until I reach my 1st stitch marker. Now that I've crocheted almost to the stitch marker, I'm gonna take my stitch marker out. I'm gonna double crochet right in that chain 1. I don't want like an oversized bell sleeve, but I don't want like a super fitted sleeve either. I just want like a little bit of room, just a little bit of comfort. I'm gonna chain 14 and I'm gonna chain it like pretty loose. 12, 13. Now that I have all these chains, don't forget that we don't want these chains to become twisted either, so don't be twisting around your chains. I'm gonna come on over and I'm gonna find my next stitch marker, take her out, and then right where that stitch marker was in that chain 1, I am going to double crochet. After I set up all my sleeves, I'm gonna try it on again, make sure I like the fit. I'm just gonna double crochet all the way over, boop, to my next stitch marker and do the exact same thing. So here's kind of what it's looking like what the arms look like at the moment. I'm just gonna do one more double crochet row all around. So I think that brings us to a total of 11 rows all together. That sounds about right. Once I approach all of the chain stitches, I'm just going to crochet in every single chain stitch. It just makes everything like look a little bit more complete. And if you want to keep going and make this like a full sweater, or you want this to be a little longer, then like keep adding as many rows as you would like. I'm gonna finish up just my final 11th row. Okay, here's what I have going on so far. I did start on the sleeve. Don't look at her. Okay, we're not there yet. I just wanted to show you kind of what it should be looking like right now before we start the sleeves. I wound up chaining 18 for my underarm. That's just what felt most comfortable for me. So please like keep trying it on and keep making changes so that way it's like feels more comfortable for you, okay? From my neck to the end of the piece, it's about like 5.5 inches. Now we're gonna move on to the sleeves. So I did 34 rows for the sleeve. It's about 18 inches in length, and I'm gonna show you how to make a sleeve right now. So I'm gonna start off with a slip knot. I'm just gonna start anywhere that's in this like armpit area. When I start, I actually put my hook like right in the stitch. I just find it gives it a little bit more integrity and a little bit more strength. That's only for like the chains though. Anyway, then I'm gonna do 3 chains. Yeah, I'm just gonna crochet all around this little circle until I get right back to the beginning, and I'll be back to show you how to add another row. Now, as you can see, I've done my first row of the sleeve. I'm gonna find my chain 3. In my 3rd chain, I'm going to slip stitch, chain 3, and then turn my work. And then once I turn the work, I'm gonna skip over that slip stitch and just double crochet all the way around. And I'm gonna repeat all of these steps until I reach 34 rows. And then obviously we have to do this a second time because we do have 2 sleeves. Wait, I'm so excited. Oh my god, wait, hold on, let me try on the gloves. Let me just like feel my fantasy for like 2 seconds. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to wear this with the gloves and the bonnet. I'm living and I'm laughing and I'm loving. Now we can do some fun stuff. I think I'm gonna add some wrist cuffs, and then I'm also gonna add a neckline. I'm gonna use a size 3.5 hook for all of my trim. On the red sleeve, I'm going to make a pink wrist cuff, and on the pink sleeve, I'm going to make a red wrist cuff. If you watched my previous video, you've seen me do this 100 million times. So I'm gonna attach my yarn. I'm gonna chain 11. 1, 2. So now that I've chained 11, I'm just gonna single crochet down the row. So I chained 10 plus 1 for a total of 10 stitches. So now I'm gonna find my way back onto my sleeve, and I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch once, and I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch again for a total of 2 slip stitches. Then I turn my work. And then now I'm going to skip over those 2 slip stitches. You can see them right there. And I'm going to back loop only, single crochet 10 times till I get back up the row. Once I'm back up my row, I've finished my 10th stitch. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And I'm going to keep repeating what I've been doing. So I'm gonna back loop only, single crochet down the row, slip stitch once, slip stitch twice. If you want a tighter cuff, you can slip stitch 3 or even 4 times. And yeah, then just skip over those 2 slip stitches and back loop only, single crochet up the row. When I get up the row, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and I'm just going to keep doing that until I've crocheted all around the sleeve. I put this around my wrist and just kind of measured it around my wrist. And we're like almost going around my wrist at this point. I've been slip stitching twice in between each row, and now I'm going to start slip stitching 3 times. I have successfully crocheted all the way back to the beginning. I'm going to slip stitch just like one last time in like the first stitch that I started in, just to like anchor everything down. And then at this point you could like flip this inside out if that's easier for you. That's a lot of admin, so I like to just like smoosh my pieces together. Smoosh it. You can seam this however you would like. I like to seam it using the slip stitch method. You stick your hook in one side, you stick your hook in the other side, and then you yarn over and go through all the loops on your hook, and then you have the start to a seam. So I'm going to finish seaming this up. Obviously you want to do this on the other side of the sweater, and on the pink sleeve I'm going to do a red cuff, and then once you're done with all of your cuffs, we're going to talk about the collar. Just a quick measurement check, the wrist cuffs came out to be about 2 inches in length. Let's move on to the collar of the piece. I'm going to do my trim the exact same way I did my wrist cuffs. The only difference is that I'm going to be switching colors halfway through. Okay? I usually like to start off my collars like somewhere in like the shoulder region. And for this collar, you see these little bumps? These are all of our chains from the very beginning of the project. I'm not going to be crocheting into the little bumps. Like, look at that big gap. We want this collar to be nice and sturdy. It kind of looks like a little booty. The little top part of the double crochet. I'm going to stick my hook right through there. You feel me? You feel my vibe? I'm going to attach my yarn. I'm going to chain 5 plus 1. So 1, 6, right? Single crochet down the row for a total of 5 stitches. Slip stitch into the next stitch, 1, and slip stitch twice. Anyway, yeah, so just like we did with the wrist cuff, we're going to turn our work, skip over the 2 slip stitches, and back loop only single crochet up the row. Chain 1, turn the work. You know the drill by now. Hopefully you know the drill. I'm going to keep doing this little trim all the way until we hit the red part. And I'll be back and I'll show you how to change colors and all that good stuff, okay? Okay, little baby, you got this. You're amazing. You're a star. And I'll be right back to switch colors with you. So this is the part where you kind of have to like feel out the vibe and just like feel out what the yarn wants to do. Actually, in a great turn of events, I've crocheted down the row. And right before I'm hitting my red area, I have a perfect 2 more pink crochets left. So we're going to slip stitch twice. Then we're going to turn our work, skip over the 2 slip stitches, and back loop only single crochet up the row. So once we get to the last stitch, this is where we're going to change colors. So let's insert our hook, pick up our yarn, pull through, and now that we have 2 loops of yarn on our hook, I'm going to add my pink yarn. It's best to change colors like when you're all the way at the top of the row. So because this is a collar, it's going to get like a lot of wear, it's going to stretch out a lot. I want the yarn to be super secure, so I'm going to do a slip knot, and I'm going to just put the slip knot right on the hook, and then I'm going to pull through. And then I'm going to chain 1 and back loop only single crochet down the row. And now we're going to start crocheting into the red yarn. Beautiful. I'd say that that's pretty darn good. I feel good about that. So once everything is said and done, once I've crocheted successfully all along the collar, again, don't forget to switch your color of yarn right over here. And then once I'm done crocheting all around the collar, I'm going to seam the collar with a slip stitch like I usually do. Then I'm done with the piece. I'm going to finish the collar and show you what that looks like, and then we're going to do some wrap-up stuff. And just a little measurement check, the collar is about 1 inch in length. This audio probably sucks, so I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. I'm obsessed with this outfit. I love this shrug. It's just everything I ever wanted. It's exactly what was in my brain. I'm so obsessed. I love this. And honestly, I've just been having a jolly good old time. Like, I just feel like I'm out of breath because I've just been like prancing around in the snow. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you so much, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye. Oh, and like and subscribe. Okay, bye.